Hi everyone, it's Tasleem here, and today's video, you did read the title correctly. It's called I Love Dating, and This Is Why. I promise you it's not a joke. I know in other videos I've made fun of dating or my own dating situations I've shared with you, or even with my friends, and over the years, like I may have sounded frustrated about dating or being in certain relationships, but really, sincerely, deep down inside, I actually think dating is amazing because it is one of the best ways to learn about ourselves. And so I want to do this video to give you some examples to illustrate why this is, and some examples from my own life to kind of show you how this works and why I think dating is one of the best ways to learn about ourselves. I think it's actually a mirror for where we are at in our lives at that time, especially how we feel about ourselves. And looking back, when I think about my journey in dating and relationships, it's really fascinating to me to see how I've grown in certain areas, or where there have been consistent patterns, some that are healthier than others, and some where I've didn't notice the patterns till much later, some where I felt this need to shift the pattern and it seemed harder to shift some patterns and easier to shift others. And so I wanted to sort of talk about this idea that, for me, the really big concept behind all this is that we attract the people that come into our lives, especially the romantic partners. You might be saying, well, no, sometimes I am attracted to this person, so I go and approach them. So like, I'm not just attracting them, but there is, on an energetic level, still this energy that draws certain people together and doesn't draw other people together. And I feel like that energy really comes from how you feel about yourself. So for example, when I was younger, I was attracting a lot of people that were more charismatic and outgoing, and maybe more expressive in the arts, or really into music, and had a good, fun social, center of friends and kind of things like that. And social circle of friends is what I meant to say. And it was great because I thought, okay, well, opposites attract, because I was pretty shy and more introverted, and it was fun. But then there were times, during those relationships or dating scenarios, I felt like something was missing, and I couldn't figure it out at first. And I didn't realize that until much later, that some of those things that they were doing, or the way that they were being, those guys, was actually something that I was craving. Like, I wanted to learn how to be more expressive and be more, outgoing and spontaneous, and be more free. And even some of them would comment, to loosen up more and to have more fun and that kind of thing. But the thing is that for me, because that wasn't naturally what was coming out for me, being with people that were extremely that way didn't actually bring those qualities out in me. They made me go further into my introverted, quiet, practical, stable, level-headed kind of self, because it felt like, I wasn't aware of this at the time, but it was like there needed to be some balance. Like, if they're free, carefree, and all over the place all the time, I felt like someone needed to have some stability so that things felt a bit more consistent or reliable, or I felt safer and a little bit more, something to rely on. And so I ended up being even more of the reliable one, and even more of the practical one. So it didn't really serve me. And what I didn't realize was that I had so many insecurities around not having like a not being able to express myself, and it was like I was actually a little bit more envious of those people, and my spirit was craving to be able to do those things. And so I had a subconscious belief that I wasn't fun enough, I wasn't spontaneous enough, I couldn't do those artsy things that I admired in other people. And so the energy that I was oozing out was like, I am the stable, practical one. And so people that weren't, that maybe were looking for some grounding because they already had the carefree, spontaneous, qualities in them, we attracted each other because we were polarities, like opposite polarities. And so we attracted each other. And maybe those people sometimes had their insecurities because they didn't feel like they might have had enough grounding in their life, or their family life, or their education, or like financially or whatever. So it would have been like nice and romantic that, oh, opposites attract, but it actually was quite difficult for either one of us, because in the directions that we wanted to grow, being with the opposite wasn't actually bringing out those opposite qualities for me. It was just forcing me to feel like I had to be more of, quote unquote, myself, instead of growing and developing in a new way. Another phase in my life was like I was meeting a lot of guys that I felt a lot of chemistry for, and it was really fun and stuff, but they were, for whatever reason, couldn't be like, we couldn't be in a committed relationship that was more consistent, because usually the guys lived really far away, sometimes in another country, or the age gap between us was really big, and there was always something, and it felt really fun and really connected, and really that butterflies in your stomach and excitement thing was there. But then it was like on and off, or long periods of time in between, because we were too far apart or whatever. And I didn't realize that, it took me a long time to realize that I had underlying beliefs during that time as well that were different to previously. They were that I think I had a belief that you either can have chemistry in a relationship or compatibility, but you can't have both. So I thought that, oh, it's great that we have chemistry and like it's more passion and fun and that kind of thing. And if I want that, I have to be okay with having that, but not having like the compatibility and the having maybe the same vision for things, or having the same kind of lifestyle, or having like a good friendship. And so I went along with it for too long, even though it wasn't meeting my needs for other things, because I was like, well, I guess I have to be okay with this. Because I would see friends that were in really long, like healthy, quote unquote, healthy relationships that were really stable and grounded, but there was like no passion there. Or I would, see that in family or in my culture. And so I was like, okay, I guess that's how it has to be. You either have one or the other. I also probably had a limiting belief that guys don't really stick around, that it could come from so many different things, that idea in my head. My mom and dad were divorced when I was really young, and my dad wasn't around. I'm sure he was a really great person, but I didn't know him well, and my mom did everything herself for me and my brother. So for me, I didn't even think like my mom and dad divorcing was a big deal on me because I didn't really remember them being together ever. But I didn't realize that also subconsciously I must have built up this idea that men don't really stick around. Like they're not really there to like count on and stuff. So this idea of having long distance kind of relationships that weren't necessarily all that reliable seemed like they were almost familiar to me without me knowing it. It was like, oh, okay, this makes sense because this is what I've seen, not just with my parents, but just, in other family or friends relationships. I just didn't see a lot of like the male figure being really relied on all the time, and being there consistently, I guess. So I thought, okay, this is normal, and I went along with it. And then in another situation, I was like in really committed long-term relationships that were stable, and I was like, oh great, this is exactly what I wanted. But then there was things that I felt disrespected over, like maybe the way that they spoke to other women. It seemed like there was a lot of flirting going on with other women that were in their lives, or they had to be friends with all their ex-girlfriends, or and I didn't feel as included maybe as I should have in that. But I wasn't speaking up, and I didn't realize again that I had like insecurities, and I was not feeling like I was enough. And so I would look at some of these other girls that were like either the ex-girlfriends, or even if it was the waitress that was like serving us at restaurants, and the guy that I'm with is like being a little extra flirty with her. Like too many times this was happening to an extreme, right? And I wouldn't speak up because I was like, oh, okay, maybe these women have something that I don't have. And I thought that, maybe I wasn't enough for the person that I was with, and that this was okay. Like, this is common behavior. Like, guys are just like this, you know what I mean? And we're supposed to just take it. And but none of this was true. I mean, I didn't need to believe this. I didn't need to make excuses for it, and I didn't need to go along with it. I could have either voiced my opinion to say how it made me feel. I could have decided to not be in long distance relationships if I didn't feel like it was giving me what I wanted. And I could have seen that like there were some things that I wanted to do, like expressive arts kind of things, that maybe instead of being with guys that were doing those things, I just needed to go out and do them myself and try. But I had insecurities. I was feeling not enough, as I said, during those times. And I was focusing so much on the person in front of me, as in the guy that I was with, or the guy that I was attracted to, or the guy that, showed me a lot of attention, trying to make that person happy, and I completely forgot about myself. And so the reason I'm saying all this and giving you these examples is because over time, when you recognize what limiting beliefs you have, these subconscious beliefs, and when you realize that, it's not just your luck that a guy comes into your life that lives really far away, or a girl, if you're a guy. Like I said, this applies to both male or female. It's not just your luck that, the guy or girl that gets attracted to you or approaches you is someone that is maybe less into having long-term relationships. There's an energy that you're putting out there and I don't mean like this energy of like, oh, I don't, if you're wanting a long-term relationship or wanting more commitment or wanting something more serious, and you're not getting that and it's happening too consistently, I promise you it's not happening by chance. And so that's why I love that dating. That's why I love dating, because actually it shows me where I am at in my situation in my life at the time. It really has nothing, really hardly anything to do with the person that I'm on a date with, that I'm dating or in a relationship with, or even if I were to get married. Like I want to continue dating when I'm married, and I don't mean to other people, I mean to the person that I'm married to. And I want us to go out on dates because I think that is really fun, and I would want to continue to do that with that person. So, but dating on all these different levels, the dynamic that is between me and that person really tells me a lot about where I'm at and how I feel. Like, am I sticking around in relationships that aren't working? Instead of saying, well, this is just my luck and I meet these kind of people, it's like, no, I take control back for myself and I say, okay, what is it that I am believing right now that's making me think that I can't speak up about what I need? Or what is it that's making me stay? Is it that I have a lack mentality? Like, I think that all the great guys are taken, so the only people that I have left to really think about are the ones that I'm dating at the moment, or who's in front of me right now. Really looking at all this really helps you to empower yourself, and instead of saying, this is just the way it is, like, this is just what happens to me, it's like, no, what do you want to make happen? And that's all about your energy, and your energy largely comes from your beliefs about yourself, about love, and about relationships. And so I'm inviting you, because I said, like, for me, dating invites us to get really curious. So if I go out on a date and, I've shared some stories that are kind of funny or silly, or just they didn't work out and it was like frustrating. But I actually, when I, come back from those situations, I really think about, like, what energy am I putting out that's making that kind of person come to me? Like, if I am not getting what I want, or if I'm not drawing in the kind of people that I want, I get curious. Like, what are my beliefs underlying this? Like, am I with my mouth and to you guys and other people saying, yeah, I really want a serious committed relationship, but maybe underlying that, I'm scared of losing my independence, or maybe I'm scared that maybe I have some of the little trickling beliefs from long ago, that guys are not as reliable as I want them to be. Or maybe I have the insecurities slip in sometimes, like, and they'll say, like, the insecurities speak to me in my head, like, oh, but you're not as, like, I don't know, as fun as that girl, so he'll probably want her instead. So then I settle, or I attract someone that isn't even going to be my type, just to prove myself right, just to say, see, I told you, like, all the good guys are taken, or see, I told you I'm never chosen. That was one story I kept telling myself. I'm never the one that's chosen. Well, if you go around saying, I promise you, I'm telling you this from experience, it's not that you're not the one that's chosen, but if you go around saying that you're never the one that's chosen, you will keep meeting partners, dates, guys, girls, whoever you're into, that will never choose you, because you are not choosing yourself first. they say, what's the saying? If you think you can, or you think you can, you're right. No, I'm butchering the saying, but the idea is that, I'll find the exact quote, but the idea is that what you believe is actually going to come true, because what you believe is the energy that you're putting out to everyone. And you will only see proof of what you believe. So if I shift my beliefs and I say, actually, there's been some really reliable guys in my life. Like, guys can be really reliable. Or if I say that I am way more than enough. Like, I'm such a good catch for people. Like, and I think about some of the things that I think I bring value to a relationship. The more that I think those beliefs and I change my old beliefs that were limiting or not making me feel good, I will start seeing proof of the guys that are really reliable, or that I'll see more proof. Like, people will comment on things that compliment me on the way that I am, or how much value I bring to, like, a friendship or to a relationship or whatever it is. But my point is that when you are not sure where you're at in your life, dating is one of the best places to show you exactly where your insecurities are, whether you still have limiting beliefs. Maybe you didn't even know you had any subconscious beliefs, but they're always driving us. And again, like I said, this applies whether you're dating to just meet people right now, whether you're in an exclusive relationship, whether you're married, because hopefully you're still dating when you're married. And that's another thing. If you're married and you're not going out on dates, that could be a problem. That might be something that you might want to look at, because that might say a lot as well about what you feel about yourself right now, or what you feel about love after marriage. Or so yeah, I love dating because it is one of the best mirrors to show us a reflection of where we are at that time in our life, as well as especially how we feel about ourselves. And once we understand that, we can empower ourselves by shifting any beliefs that are not serving us. And also, when we change that energy in us, we start attracting exactly what we want. And then dating becomes so fun, and we become magnetic to exactly what we are desiring. And this makes me really excited, because I can never lose then with dating. It either teaches me a really good lesson, or it shows me that, like, I'm really on the path that I want to be on in terms of love and relationships, and I just keep going. Thanks for listening.